Hello and welcome to today's video.
Welcome.
Today we wanted to talk about our tips on how to come out because it's such a huge thing.
It does sound like a big thing, and it is a big thing.
It definitely feels like the humongous thing in the world, doesn't it?
But I feel like also it does feel bigger than what it actually is.
I think it depends on your family situation.
That's true. You never stop coming out.
No, that is a thing.
You never stop.
Not to scare you, but once you come out, then you do keep having to come out.
I feel like it gets less.
I don't know.
It gets less intimidating every time you do it.
And you kind of get to a point where you're like, if you're not going to accept me, then go away.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And the older you get, the more you don't care anyway.
Yeah, true.
What I said, the more you're comfortable with yourself, the less you care.
Yeah, true. So my first thing about coming out, my first point is to make sure that you're in a safe and stable position first. If you're financially reliant on someone who you don't know how they're going to react.
Like parents, would you say?
Yeah, so for example, that...
Or someone you live with.
Yeah, so if you live with someone and you are completely reliant on them, you couldn't be independent from them, financially or your home situation, then I would say try and get yourself in a situation where you are more independent or with people that you know will be accepting before coming out. That won't be the case for everyone. Some people will know. I knew, I lived with my mum and my dad, but I knew even if they weren't happy with it, which luckily they were really accepting and really supportive, but if they weren't, I knew they weren't going to kick me out.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say make sure that you're in a safe, stable position before anything else.
Yeah.
The next thing I would say is I recommend telling people in stages. So I personally would recommend telling someone, the first person you tell to be someone that you know loves you unconditionally or is very open-minded, very supportive. It doesn't actually have to be someone that close to you, I reckon.
No, but I would say if you can, tell your best friend first.
Yeah.
I'd say because that's what I did. My best friend at the time.
Yeah.
That's basically the first person I told, and she was literally like, "What are we gonna do now? Break up with him then?"
But then at the same time, you might not have a best friend that would be supportive. So
right now, if I was to come out right now,
you tell me.
If I was to come out right now, probably my brother and his girlfriend. But other than that, who would you tell first now? If you were coming out again, who would you tell now?
And my mom.
Yeah, she is your best friend though, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is. I would tell your mum first too.
You tell my mom?
I would tell your mum.
And coming out the street, you're going to tell Claire?
Not straight if I was coming out as gay again. I'll tell Claire. She's my best friend too.
I know. And then, so once you've told that safe person, whoever that is,
it's always good to have a safe space.
Tell them first, talk it out with them before then you go into telling everyone, because it's really daunting. And I told someone first. I told one of my friends first before I told my mum, my ex-boyfriend. And then I feel like that really helped.
I feel like the first person you come out to, it's less daunting every time, because you've already got it out there. Your feelings that you've had for so long, you've finally got it out to someone rather than yourself.
Yeah.
Then it feels way easier. I don't know.
Personally,
for me,
I
felt
agree
easier
too.
to then come out to either close to people or to anyone else in general.
Yeah. But I would also say you only have to tell who you want to tell.
Yeah, you don't have to tell everyone.
Don't feel like you have to go into work and tell everyone. If you want to, do it. If that feels good for you and it's empowering to you, then tell them.
That's the same for me.
But
being gay is my personality.
But if you don't want to, you don't have to. No one's entitled to know that about you. So if you don't want to tell them, then you don't have to. The next thing I've put on my little list that I've made is be prepared to answer questions. Because although I feel like we shouldn't have to answer to everything, unfortunately, people do tend to ask a lot of questions, don't they?
I would say the most common question, well, for me and you, I'd say, is like, well, how did you know? How do you know?
How do you know? People like questioning it, especially if you've had like
a lot of boyfriends in the past.
Boyfriends or girlfriends, because it can be the same for either way, coming out as gay or lesbian. Or coming out as bi.
I'll say either way, you do get the questions, but I guess it's to be expected. People do get a bit curious, like, and especially if people don't understand.
Yeah.
It's more of the understanding point, isn't it?
A lot of it is people don't understand, it's something new, but I think you have to kind of hype yourself up for it in a way and like be confident in your answers, because if you're confident then people aren't gonna doubt it as much. Whereas if you're like, oh well, I don't know, if you don't answer confidently, you have the potential for people to be like, oh, so are you not sure then? But be confident, like you know yourself better than anyone.
Yeah, well, I would say I had an experience where not a lot of families are like mine, probably not. My dad's a bit more out there. When I first came out, I didn't live in the same like city as where my dad was at the time, so I went down to see him, and literally he was just like, my dad did not understand when I first came out, did he? And I've told you this, he did not understand. Yeah. He literally was going down the street, pointing to like women on the street, like, what do you see in her? What do you see in her? And I was just like,
the same as you.
The same as you. And every time we had a conversation, he's like, but what about this? I was like, yeah, but it's the same as what you think. And I said, the same as you think about girls, I think about girls. It's not anything different.
Yeah.
That was like one of the things that came up with my dad, personally, but I don't think that came up with your family.
No, that didn't come up with my family.
No.
My mum knows the appeal of women. No, it's not true. Sorry, Mum.
Sorry, Dad. Sorry.
No, but your
mum's very open. I would say your mum is very with times.
Yeah, she's very open-minded, but she was kind of like, oh, but you've had boyfriends in the past. How do you know that it's not just because you've had rubbish boyfriends?
Yeah.
But the more I talked to her about it, and I was really honest with how I was feeling, and I was lucky that my mum like gave me the time and the space to like speak to her honestly about it. Yeah. But then she got to understand, and then now she's seen me like as I've been out.
I'll say your mum is like one of the most genuine, like, best friends that you have and I have. Like, she's the most understanding,
supportive.
She's
like our number one fan.
She literally is our number one fan, though, isn't she?
I know.
Just in every aspect of life. We got a relationship, sick, got engaged, let me help you, do it now. Got married, now.
I know. Literally, when you told her you bought my ring, and then she was like, do it now, do it now.
Do it today. I was like, not today.
I love you, Mum.
I love you, Mum.
I also said have patience. I think
that, you need patience.
The majority of the time, people will come around to it. I'm not saying that everyone that you come out to is going to be like 100% supportive, but I think the majority of people will come around to it and accept it.
If they love you, then they'll respect who you are as a person.
Yeah, and it just sometimes, the only exception to that I personally can think of
if you're in a really religious family.
Yeah.
Or if you have like an elderly carer, or you live with an elderly parent or an elderly carer, or anything, because sometimes really they are stuck in the times.
Yeah. But then at the same time, sometimes people who are elderly, like my grandma's obviously older, but she just is like...
Your grandma's an ally.
She is an ally.
She is an ally.
But she's like, she doesn't care at all.
No.
She is so accepting, because she's like, there's no point in being homophobic. Anyone who's homophobic watching this, there's no point.
There's no point. What's
People
the point?
aren't going to change because of your opinions.
No one's going to change for your comment on a video. No one's going to change for your comment on anything.
The last point that I had on my list was just don't feel like if you come out, you're going to be stuck to the one label. Because I think, like, I came out as bi years and years before I came out as a lesbian. I kind of went back in the closet and pushed it aside, but I think try out different labels.
You also don't need a label, though.
You don't need a label. You can just come out as I'm gay, and then
There's loads of different.
queer
There's loads of different parts of the LGBTQ plus
community.
Liz.
You could come out as bi, and then a few years later realise that actually bi doesn't.
Go with the vibe of what you are.
You don't relate to being bi. Nah,
you could be
anymore.
lesbian,
You
could
may
be pan, you could be asexual, you could be demisexual, you could be anything apart from the LGBTQIA plus community.
and also, like, you can be asexual and a lesbian. You can be demisexual and bisexual.
Combine those fuckers.
No.
Make a fucking click and mix.
Stop clicking me. So I was just saying, you might come out as one label and then learn more about yourself and then identify more with a different label, and that's completely fine. And in a similar way, you might identify with one label and then as you change through life, maybe a different label will suit you more later down the line. And I think that's completely fine. We hope that you found this video to be helpful. And if you have any more questions, put them in the comments down below. And we'll either answer them in the comments or in another video. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more of our videos.
I would also like to add, I would love to see people's coming out stories.
Yeah, I know. I
on
would
our
love
comments.
to.
And I'd love to do a video one day of like reading out people's either assumptions about us,
Yeah.
or like how people think we came out, or I want to
well,
know
I
how
have
you
a
came
coming
out.
out video,
You do have a
so.
coming out. Check that
But I
out
don't
too.
know. I don't know what I said in that because it was a while ago now. So
True. But if anyone wants to say anything to us, you can either comment or you can follow our TikToks and like
send us a message.
send us
on
a
there,
message or anything.
or comment on there.
Yeah. So we would love to know about you guys too, like our viewers.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you in a new video soon.
We will.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, babe. All right.